Hello, my friends. Today, we are going to be taking a look at some power tools that are used in project management. If you've ever had to manage a project and you have management coming after you, asking you for stuff, these tools are going to help you. We're going to take a look at three definitions. We're going to take a look at Rail, RAID, and 4UP. Let's talk about Rail. Rail just stands for Rolling Action Item List. We're going to create one of those. And RAID stands for Risk Assumptions, Issues, and Decisions. Some people prefer to say risks, assumptions, issues, and dependencies. We're going to take a look at the risks, assumptions, issues, and decisions and create these in Smartsheet. And last but not least, we're going to take a look at a 4UP chart. If you need to present to senior management, you want to see what this chart is all about because it's great for executive reporting. It has issues, risks, key decisions, and milestones in it. And I'm going to be showing you how to create all of these. So let's jump straight into Smartsheet. And let's hit create and sheet. And let's call this a rail. It's a rolling action item list. And let's begin putting some information in here. All right. So let's change what we have in the column sections. First thing is to have some sort of ID. So we can have an action ID number. Next, we're going to change this column to the action. Remember, it's an action item list, rolling action item list. The next thing we're going to have here is some sort of category for the actions, and then a description, detailed description of the action. Okay. Next thing we're going to put here is the status. And we could use a drop-down list. And our statuses could be on hold, active, and open, for example. You could even have a closed option, depending on what you're doing. We should also have here priority. And again, a drop-down box for high, medium, and low. That is one possibility. You wanted to make it jazzier, just use symbols instead, and you could go with any of these for high, medium, or low. So if it was high, it could be red, medium, yellow, low, green. You get the idea. All right, next we're going to put in an owner. And we're going to put in a date assigned. And we're going to put in a due date. And don't forget to use the date functionality in Smartsheet. It's so awesome and easy to use. So now we can put information in. We could put in a risk ID. Let's say it's project PR. And we just have some IDs for the different entries. The action. For example, the category, you could say and then description, you could put in a detailed description of what it is. You want to put enough information so people understand what they need to do. Let's wrap that. And same token, you would just put whatever you need to describe in those boxes. The status again, you could choose the status, the owner, and the date assigned. Easy to pick from the drop downs. And you got to remember this, folks, that when you use this, it's a rolling action item list, which means you're going to use this to manage actions that come as a result of status meetings or weekly meetings or any kind of meeting. From any meeting you have, there should be some action that you need to carry out. And those actions need to be documented. Whoever's owning them, we need to find out who's owning them and put a time box around it. See, so the time box makes sense, should be in the future, some time box in the future. And that's pretty much your rolling action item list. It's that straightforward. It's all about the actions that need to be taken to keep either the project on track, people in the know, things moving forward, so on and so forth. All right. So that's it for the rail. Now let's jump back in to the RAID. So going back here, the next one is risks, assumptions, issues, and decisions. So this is not just a one singular sheet kind of deal. For this to work, you're going to have to create sheets for each one of these components. You're going to have to create a risk register. You're going to have to create an assumption log. You're going to have to create an issue log, and you're going to have to create a key decision sheet. So we got our work cut out for us. Let's get started. Let's jump in here. Let's save this, and let's go into what we already have stored. Because if you watch the videos from a few weeks back, you remember we created a risk register. Well, this is a component of the RAID. These are where this is where the risks are stored. So we have the cause, the risk, the effect, the probability rating, the impact rating, the risk score, the probability and impact in percent and dollars. You get your risk magnitude. We call it the expected monetary value. We have the risk owner, the risk action owner, the risk response type, implementation status, the date closed, and status notes. A lot of fields, my friends, so much stuff. But that's that for the risk component. Now, let's go in and create an assumption log. Now, what is an assumption log? Or what is an assumption? Let's talk about an assumption first. An assumption is something that is considered to be true without proof. Anything that you consider to be true without proof is an assumption. So we are going to create an assumption log. So as usual, we have an ID for the assumptions. The next column will be the assumption itself. The next field is going to be the categories. Next field, we're going to put in the date added. We are going to put in the status, just in case it changes. We're going to put in any comments. And it's really as simple as that. It's that simple. As you collate these assumptions, if for any reason there needs to be anyone included in the know or someone who is meant to pretty much keep an eye on that assumption, somewhat own the assumption to make sure at all times that it is indeed still on point, then we could go ahead and we could insert one more column and we could say The assignee. The assignee is the person who's going to keep an eye on it. Make sure that indeed it is considerable as true without proof. Now, just throw in a few ideas of what these could be. We could have assumptions from different areas. Let's say it's project PR, and we have 001. And we're going to say PRA for assumption 001. Category. We just put in some categories here. Let's delete that. And let's put in some assignees. Put in a few more assumptions. And you get the idea. Depending on your unique situation, you may or may not need to assign people. But if the assumptions are pretty important, then you may very well need to do that. As usual, select the date. As far as status is concerned, you could have a drop down here. And you could simply categorize them as valid or invalid, or you could say whatever those states need to be as you manage your unique project. The cool thing about Smartsheet, it's so customizable that there's almost nothing you cannot do with it. All right, and that's your assumption log. It's that simple. You can customize it, add more fields, take out fields, whatever you need. All right, so we've taken a look at risks and assumptions, and now we're going to create an issue log. So if you have been tasked with managing a project and you're wondering what are the big documents, the big project documents that I need, I'm telling you, your risks, your assumptions, your issues, your key decisions, they are so important. Take it from me, take it from someone who's been around on various projects, engineering, IT, healthcare, gaming. The world of projects is the world of projects, I'm telling you. Next, we're going into issues. And for issues, as usual, we are going to use this to log misunderstandings, aspects for debate, things that are happening that are troublesome, problems, impediments, obstacles, blockers. There's so many names we could call them. But for now, let's go ahead and put in an ID for these issues. Let's go ahead and put the actual issue description. Let's put in a priority. And let's put in a status. Next, we will put in the assignee. Let's put in an expected resolution date. And let's go ahead and put in another column for escalation. Let's go ahead and put in one more column for impact, as in the impact to the project. And one more, let's put in some action steps. All right. We're going to use some dummy data to get rolling here, and we're just going to call this healthcare 01. We'll put in a couple of these. Okay. Financial resources. And then negotiations with the union fell through. And we are back to square one. All right, it's all fictitious. As far as priority, again, you could just go ahead and get some symbols and you can make this a high, medium, low affair. Those that are red, you know, management is always looking forward to get on those. As far as the status is concerned, you could say a drop-down box, and you could say critical, CRI, high, medium, and low. Select what it is. The really cool thing about these sheets, my friends, is once you've set up a set of sheets, my advice to you would be to download them in Excel so that you got them. And then you could just use them perpetually as you have to use Smartsheet, or maybe you use Google Docs or something else. You will always have those sheets. And that's what I would advise. All right, the assignee. Resolution date. When was it resolved? Again, in the escalation field, it could be a simple drop down with a yes or no. That's simple. And as far as the impact, you could categorize the impact. You could specify the impact. It really depends. So we could say viability of the project is going to be affected. You can say resource availability. It's going to be a strike. As far as the actions, meet with the portfolio review board, resource availability, enter new negotiations, for example. All right, and that's an example of how you log issues. You know, it's really that simple. If there's any proofs or documentation that needs to accompany it, you can always attach a file, you know, by just clicking on that icon and doing accordingly. All right, so we've taken a look at risks, assumptions, and issues. The final one in the RAID quartet is decisions. All right, so again, we're going to go back here, go here, sheet, and we're going to call this decisions. And as far as the decision log is concerned, we're going to have a very straightforward approach, just like the others. We're going to have a decision ID. We're going to have a category for these decisions. We're going to have the decision itself. We're going to have a responsible party. We're going to have a date when the decision was made, when it was logged. And we're also going to have comments. Very simple sheet. That's it. Now, let's go ahead and put in some data. We'll put in the ID and the category right away. Go ahead and put in the decision and the responsible party. And we'll go ahead and put in a date. So select dates when those decisions were made. And as far as comments, there may or may not be comments. So we'll go ahead and put none. And there you have it, my friends. Your issues. Let's go back one more time and let's open all over again. Issues. There's the issue log. Save that. Those are the issues. Okay, let's go ahead and open up the risk one more time. The risk register, some people call it the risk log. So much content in it. Look for the video when I put this together. Those are the risks. Okay, so risks. And then let's open up the assumptions. There's the assumption log. There you have it. So risks, assumptions, issues, and we were looking at decisions right there. Okay. And that's your RAID. It's really that simple, but it's not about the documents. Documents are not fancy or that great. It's not like it relies on a whole lot of technology, but I tell you, the process of human interaction, going through risks, assumptions, issues, and decisions, my goodness, priceless. That's where the real value is. It's in the journey, right? It's not in the tool, it's in the journey. So going through these with your team, finding out those 4, priceless. All right, now let's move into the last piece. If you present to senior executives, all that stuff I showed you is going to be a little bit overkill, too much. So what you need to do is use a 4-up chart for executive reporting: issues, risk, key decisions, and milestones. Okay, I have some examples of one that I prepared, and I'm going to use this to underscore how to use it. All right, first of all, you want to have milestones and key accomplishments. Milestones, those things that are 5 days out, 4 days out, 3 days out, 2 days out, 1 day out. Maybe it's starting on Monday and it's Friday. Folks need to know about it. Secondly, the key decisions, whatever was decided upon, that needs to be talked about as well. And you need to do this weekly. You also have here a high-level traffic light scheme for the state of the schedule. We are on schedule. Cost, we have problems. Scope, we're shaky, and quality, we have issues. Right off the bat, without going through any of your big old RAID documents, management can already tell the state of the project. All right. Upcoming tasks is also another good one to have, so people know what's coming down the pike. If there are major things 5 days out, you also want to emphasize those. Last but not least, we have major issues, things that have caused major problems. I'm not saying put the whole issue log, but you want the top 3. In my mind, the top 3 issues, the major risk, maybe the top 5 risks will be good, major 5 key decisions, and whatever you need to put in there as far as milestones and accomplishments and upcoming tasks are great. But don't forget the triple constraint: schedule, cost, and scope, and throwing quality to boot. You present this to senior management in a compelling, understanding, orderly, intentional fashion. My goodness, it will work wonders. All right. I hope this helped you. We've gone through 4 different pieces in RAID. We've gone through Rail, and we've gone through the 4-up. I hope that added some value to you. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, share with your friends. And if there's any document that you want to see me create, let me know in the chat. Take care and talk to you soon.